Episode 208. Today we recap the sweep of the Rockies at home, preview the upcoming divisional series in St. Louis, and talk all things Buccos with Pirates beat reporter Colin Beazley. You're listening to the Bucco Bantr podcast brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plates, and in case after case, run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Welcome back to another episode of Bucco Bantr. As you can tell, I'm riding solo today as Adam is out of the country, returning tomorrow for Down on the Farm. But I'm going to quickly take you through the recent sweep against the Rockies, recap all those wins. It seems like the Pirates are never going to lose at home going forward. And then I'm going to preview the upcoming road trip to St. Louis to face divisional rival St. Louis Cardinals. Also going to announce our players of the week at the end. And then we'll be joined by Colin Beazley, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It's the first time he's joining us here on Bucco Bantr to talk all things Buccos. Got a lot to talk about, especially heading into the last month of the season. But first, let's go through some headlines here today. Not a whole lot to discuss headline-wise. I mean, Chase Shugart was optioned to AAA as a corresponding move for Bubba Chandler. As that was announced probably Thursday evening going into Friday. So Shugart goes down to AAA. I would much rather have him up here than Yohan Ramirez. I know it sounds like I'm a Yohan Ramirez hater, but he's definitely earned a spot on this team and has pitched well for the most part for most of the year out of the middle relief role. So I'm sure we'll see him get another opportunity, whether that's organically or not, here before the end of the season. Friday, it was a lone game that I attended this weekend against the Rockies. Got to chat with Clint Hurdle, friend of the pod. Just a big Clint Hurdle fan. Definitely miss him here in Pittsburgh. And it was good to see him back. He got a standing ovation, curtain call, which was good to see. It was also the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the class of 2025. That included Kiki Kyler, Al Oliver and Vern Law were in attendance. It's great to see them. Kind of ironic because Vern Law was one of our only Cy Young winners in 1960 and threw out the first pitch to Paul Skeens, who could be another Cy Young winner here sooner rather than later. And then also Al Oliver was in attendance, gave a nice speech. Sunday, some big news today, I guess, as we are recording. Paul Skeens led the Buccos to their MLB best 16th shutout win of the year. You're probably thinking, how is that possible? Because I know I am, but it's happened. They've shut out some bad teams this year, and they've gone on a couple winning streaks here and there, especially at home. I think they're on a 91 win pace at home, which is kind of insane because they're on like a 115 loss pace on the road. So they just get it done at home. They're a potential division favorite if they play all their games at home, and definitely a playoff team coming out of this division, but can't get it done on the road. The Rockies were officially eliminated from playoff contention. I don't think anyone took that as a surprise, but the Pirates knocked them out. They play spoiler, if you will, and the Rockies only have like 36 wins, which is it's tough to watch. So being on the field Friday, like I barely recognized any of these guys, man. Ezekiel Tovar was obviously a familiar face, and Kyle Freeland and some other guys, but a lot of names you haven't seen before, a lot of new guys, definitely a rebuilding club. But then more on Skeens, just the historic start to his career continues. Second lowest ERA in the live ball era through his first 50 career starts, 2.02 ERA. Through his first 50 career starts. He's trailing only Vida Blue, okay, who had a 2.01 ERA through his first 50 starts. Pretty impressive stuff from Paul Skeens. 294 innings pitched total over those 50 starts, 2.02 ERA, 0.94 whip, 350 Ks, 69 walks, and a 196 batting average against. Those are just generational numbers. And I think it's really important through all the roughness that we have to watch on this field and at this ballpark. just remember that we're witnessing history, and to some people it might mean nothing because the team hasn't performed up to expectations outside of Paul, but just enjoy a generational talent here in Pittsburgh while we have them, because these numbers are absolutely historic, and I don't know if we'll ever see it again. So quick shout out to Paul Skeens. He continues to do his thing, and that brings us into the first game here Friday against the Rockies. Braxton Ashcraft got the start. 5 innings, 1 hit, no earned, 1 walk, 6 Ks. He got 14 whiffs, 270 ERA, another really impressive start or appearance from Braxton Ashcraft. And then came in Bubba Chandler. And before I get into his stat line, I said to a few people, why? I know they don't think he's ready to start yet, but why couldn't he have started this game and just piggyback Ashcraft with him? He's the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball. It just feels weird seeing him in this role come up and debut. But nonetheless, he performed. He earned the save in his debut. 4 innings, 2 hits, no earned, no walks, 3 Ks. He had 6 whiffs on 40 pitches. 29 of those were strikes. The command was there. That's wavered a little bit in AAA in the second half here, causing his ERA to go up a little bit. But he looked flawless. He looked like the top pitching prospect that we saw at the very beginning of the season, and in spring training at the spring breakout game in Clearwater, which we attended. He looked phenomenal. Lights out. I know he's facing the Rockies, but good way to ease him in and get his confidence up. I don't think he lacks any confidence, but big appearance from him. He earned the save in his debut. One of just 4 MLB pitchers to earn a 4-inning save in their debut. He was the first Pirate ever to do it in his MLB debut. So making some history too here. In his first start, he was pumping 100 there a couple times, hitting the corner of the zone. Just it's impossible to hit top of the zone. The stuff is real, and it was fun to watch for sure. Let's go into the offense. Spencer Horwitz at 2 for 5 with a double, his 6th homer of the year, 2 RBIs, 259 average on the year. Tommy Pham continues his tear in the second half, 2 for 3 with a double, his 7th homer, 2 RBIs. He's at 267. Kutch 2 for 4 with 2 doubles, 4 RBIs. He's at 240 on the year. Canario crushed his 4th homer of the season, 14 hits total, 7 doubles, 3 home runs, 10 extra base hits total, 5 for 11 with runners in scoring position, 8 left on base, 6 Ks, doing damage to the baseball, which is what you want to see from this offense. They haven't been able to do that consistently this year. So 9-0 win, shutout. Ashcraft and Chandler combine on the mound to shut the Rockies out. And Ashcraft gets the W while Chandler gets the save. Let's go into Saturday, 5-1. The Pirates take another game from the Rockies. Mike Burrows started. I thought he was pulled a little bit prematurely. 4 innings pitch. I think he had 70-some pitches thrown. 2 hits, no earned, 1 walk, 5 Ks. He looked pretty good. Has a 4.23 ERA after that start. Carmen Mlodzinski, though, is the one who impressed me the most. 2 innings, all outs but 1 were strikeouts. No hits, no walks, 5 Ks, 3.89 ERA. Got that ERA below 4. Looked really good in that, short stint out of the pen. Kyle Nicholas has also remained scoreless over his last couple appearances. 1 inning, 1 hit. ERA's at 5.54. Colin Holderman came in. Good opportunity for him to get an inning, maybe gain some confidence. 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 K. Then Johan Ramirez comes in last inning, 1 inning, 2 hits, 1 earned, no walks, 2 Ks. That 1 earned, came off of a Brent Doyle home run in the last inning. But Jared Triolo, man, this has been the story for this offense. 2 for 4 with a triple, his 4th homer of the year, 2 RBIs. He's got a 2.05 ERA. The first time I've seen him above the Mendoza line, I think, this year. So that was good to see. Kutch went 1 for 3 with his 12th homer of the year, 2 RBIs. Reynolds and Nicky G each double. They had 11 hits total, another double-digit hit game. 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, 7 left on base, 10 Ks. Let's go into today's game to cap it off. Paul Skeens, just flawless. 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned, no walks, 7 Ks. 2.07 ERA on the season, 15 whiffs. Isaac Madsen followed him up. 1 inning, no hits, no walks, 1 K. He's got a 2.12 ERA. And then Dennis Santana, last inning, 1 inning, 1 hit, no earned, 1 walk, 1 K. Not a save situation, but he closes it out. Jared Triolo, again, 2 for 2 with a walk, his 9th stolen base. his 5th homer, crushed down the left field line, 3 RBIs. He's at 213. Stumpf posted a video of the change in his hand position in his swing. I want to get into that more with Beazley, and then obviously talk about that more with Adam when he comes back. He's more of the hitting guy here, but it seems like just hand positioning, being in a more comfortable position at the plate, has helped his swing here in the second half since the All-Star break, because we've seen the numbers soar here since they came back from the break. Would love to break down that swing even further here as we move forward. IKF, 1 for 3 with a double, 1 RBI. He's at 265, 6 hits total, 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position, 5 left on base, 4 Ks. That does it for the recap. Pirates sweep the Rockies. Like I said, knock them out of playoff contention. Play spoiler. And that brings us into the away series here. We're going to go through this pretty quickly. It's a 4-game series in St. Louis. The Cardinals, as of right now, 64 and 66. They're above the Pirates, 7 games above us, 4th in the NL Central. And Monday, we have Michael McGreevy going for the Cardinals. This is a 2021 first-round pick out of UCSB. So far this year, the rookie is 5-2 with a 4.26 ERA, 57 innings pitched, 10 games started, 33 Ks, and a 118 whip. He throws about 7 pitches at you, throws a kitchen sink, a 4-seam that sits around 93. He throws it about 26% of the time. He'll throw a sweeper, sinker, cutter, curve, change, and slider. You can get the sweeper into the mid-80s. Strong, repeatable delivery plus command. Works fast, keeps pitch counts low and balls on the ground. It's not going to garner a lot of strikeouts or swing and miss, but he's definitely going to keep the ball on the ground. Right now, if the schedule goes as planned, he's going to face Mitch Keller tomorrow in St. Louis. Tuesday, we got Andre Payante. A lot of the guys that we're facing in the series for St. Louis, we've faced multiple times already this year. Payante is one we faced in the beginning of July. He went 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks, and a 1-0 Pitt win. We squeaked out a dub there, but this year Foley hasn't been great to him. 6-11 with a 5.17 ERA, 134 innings, 25 games, 92 Ks, and a 1.41 whip. He's mostly a 4-seam slider guy, throws the 4-seam almost 50% of the time, the slider at 30% of the time. Fastball can get up there in the 95, 96 area. The slider will sit high 80s, and then he'll mix in a curve and sinker there to round off the arsenal. Projects as more effective out of the bullpen. We've seen him in that long relief role, sometimes closing too, where his sinker-slider combo play up and ground balls limit damage. If he sharpens his command and develops a more reliable third pitch, he could stick in the rotation long-term, and I think they're really trying to test that out this year, as they don't really see a path to competing. He is faced to go up against former Cardinal Johan Oviedo on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, for the 4th time this year, we face Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray will go up against Braxton Ashcraft as it currently stands. This year, 12-6 with a 4.33 ERA, 145 innings pitched, 26 games started, 161 Ks, and a 1.20 whip. The vet, man, has been pretty reliable for the Cardinals this year. In 3 starts against the Pirates, he's 2-1 with a 2.45 ERA. 18 1/3 innings pitched, 3 on 18 Ks. He's a guy that we've always struggled with, I feel like. He'll throw your 4-seam at you 23% of the time, the sweeper 20. Has definitely a feel for spinning the ball. He has that curve at 18% of the time in the low 80s, the sinker in the low 90s, and the cutter, change, and slider. This is a guy that will provide frontline stuff with strikeout upside and veteran leadership when healthy. It's a deep pitch mix, as I just stated. He can attack hitters in multiple ways and keeps them guessing. Shows swing and miss ability, even still in his later years of his career. His career K/9 is around 9+. One of the best strikeout arms among veteran starters. Generates ground balls with his sinker too, so can get you out in many ways. This is going to be a tough, battle for the Pirates as always. And then lastly, Thursday, we've got Mike Burrows on the mound for the Pirates, but he'll be facing Miles Mikolas. Another veteran who's 6-10 this year with a 5.17 ERA, 125 innings pitched, 25 games started, 81 Ks, and a 1.36 whip. His only start against the Pirates this year was on May 5th, went 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, 1 K, gave up a homer to Brian Reynolds in a 6-3 Pirates win. Throws a 4-seam at you about 30% of the time in the low to mid 90s, can mix in a slider, curve, sinker, change, sweeper. He's more of a mid to back of the rotation innings eater. Doesn't miss too many bats, but relies heavily on the defense behind him. He's also susceptible to the long ball, so He's a guy that maybe we can jump on here to end the series and before we head into Boston next weekend. But that's it for St. Louis. It's an older team. We've seen them a couple times this year already. So, we always, I feel like, have a tough battle at Busch Stadium, and the Cardinals are always a tough battle for us no matter what position they're in. So should be a good one. Let's see if they can capitalize off of this series with the Cardinals or with the Rockies here at home. And this week at home, they won 5 of 6 games, 2 against Toronto and 3 against the Rockies. So let's carry that momentum into this week. And before I transition into Colin Beazley and have him join us here, I want to announce our hitter and pitcher of the week. I don't think either of these are going to be a surprise to anybody. I'll start with our hitter of the week, Jared Triolo. 8 for 18 this week against Toronto and Colorado. 1 double, 1 triple, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. He's hitting .444. He's played a good shortstop. Had an error in the Toronto game at the beginning of the week, but for the most part, that glove is very reliable wherever you put him, mostly at shortstop now with IKF moving to third. But hopefully we can still continue to see these improvements with the bat. Like, I know people are going to say that he did this last year. He came on in the second half, and this is nothing new. But there is actual video to back up a change here, a slight change in the swing. All it takes is potentially a movement of the position of your hands, and that could change everything. So it's going to take more of a sample size to see if it's legit, but something worth watching. Paul Skeens, pitcher of the week, 2 starts this week, 2 quality starts, garnered 31 whiffs in those 2 starts. 13 innings pitched, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 15 Ks. I think there's not much more to say. He's been phenomenal, and he continues to be phenomenal. He's Mr. Reliable, and they're running him out there for 100+ pitches a game, and it's always a fun watch. It's must-watch TV. Fortunately, he was on Roku today against the Rockies. He was the day game, but he will probably get another opportunity to start against the Red Sox, which will be fun. I'm sure Fenway will be full next weekend. So for like the 5th or 6th time this year, he's our pitcher of the week. I'm going to end right there. We'll be right back after this break with Colin Beazley to talk all things Buccos. All right, we are now joined by first-time guest on Bucco Bantr, the 3rd most famous alum out of Villanova behind Pope Leo and Jalen Brunson. Pittsburgh Pirates beat reporter of the Post-Gazette, Colin Beazley. Colin, welcome onto the pod, man.
Thanks for having me. 3rd most famous alum. That's stretching the truth by a lot, but hey, to be named in the same conversation as the Pope and Jalen Brunson, we'll take it.
I've heard some people rank you above Jalen Brunson, but I'm a big Knicks fan, so I'm biased.
I strongly disagree. Jalen Brunson he's him. Even as a non-Knicks fan, but a little bit of a Villanova Knicks guy, like he's him.
Your counterpart at the Post-Gazette in Ohio will probably agree with that too. So we'll say that Jalen Brunson is him. But Colin, welcome on. It's been a long time coming. I'm happy we could have you on. You're actually a floor below me. We live in the same building, so welcome on, neighbor. This is a long time coming. Like I said, we want to talk some Buccos. First, let's start with this series against the Rockies. I know the Rockies are 36 and 93 or whatever. Any takeaways from this series? You were at the ballpark all weekend. Anything that jumped out to you?
I mean, not too much. Obvious is, well, first and foremost, is the Pirates did what they're supposed to do against a bad team, and what they weren't able to do earlier this month in sweeping a bad baseball team. Also, the pitching, again, I'm going to emphasize for a 3rd time, the Rockies aren't a good baseball team, but when you allow 1 run in the series and it came on the last strike of a game, that's good. I don't care whether it's a Little League World Series team or whether it's the 1927 Yankees. Whoever it comes against, not allowing runs is a good thing. So that's very, very positive. But I'd say my biggest takeaway, and I don't want to get too excited because, again, the Rockies are a bad team. Biggest takeaway is what the pitching could potentially be now that all the young arms are here. Bubba Chandler looked really, really, really good. Mike Burrows looked good. Braxton Ashcraft looked good. Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens. These are all young pitchers who the Pirates have who will be around for the foreseeable future that looked excellent in this series. again, a series is a series, and you don't want to overreact to relatively meaningless August baseball. But seeing all these guys and what they can be, it's something to get excited about, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I also saw, like, even though it's a Rockies, they're on pace for like 90 plus wins if they played all their games at PNC Park. Like they're a great home team. On the road, not so much. I think it was like 115 plus losses they were on pace for. So it's quite the difference. And the pitching has not been a problem. But you posted an article, I think it was today, about GMBC talking to reporters about Bubba's promotion, his current role in the pen, Connor Griffin, Jared Triolo, and a lot of other things. Take us through some key takeaways from that conversation.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too headline grabbing, nothing too fascinating. But Ben Cherington talked a little bit about Bubba Chandler's promotion. He said that this was something that it wasn't the plan for him to come out of relief role. He wasn't this isn't exactly how they pictured it. They kind of realized that if they continued waiting for Bubba Chandler to make a number of really good starts in a row and like earn his way up to the big leagues is the wrong term, but like to dominate. If they waited for him to dominate, they might run out of time, and they wanted to make sure that he does in fact get that big league experience this year. So they eased him into a little bit with that relief role. And the other thing he said about that is that the Pirates' young starters are all kind of trying to earn their next start right about now. It's not something where Ashcraft is for sure a starter for the rest of the season. Mike Burrows is for sure a starter for the rest of the season. Johan Oviedo is for sure a starter for the rest of the season. They're kind of saying, okay, go out there and pitch well and you'll earn your next start. And I've got no issue with that. I think that that's giving meaning to some baseball like that can seem meaningless by saying, okay, earn your next start. That's a little bit of motivation. That can be good for these young guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issue with that on the surface. I think each guy is in a different situation. Like Oviedo needs to build up his innings. He's coming off of a year and a half of not throwing in meaningful games. Bubba Chandler is the number one pitching prospect in baseball, and he started off the season very well in Indianapolis, looking like the best pitching prospect in baseball. Struggle with command here and there, but I would even argue some of that had to do with being frustrated with not coming up to Pittsburgh and being bored with and not challenged in Indianapolis. I just think that guy's a competitor. This guy was a football player that was going to play high-level D1 football. He was going to be a quarterback at Clemson. Like he wants to be challenged. And then, other guys like Burrows, I think Burrows could fit into a Keller type of role where he could be a mid-rotation starter, pitch, could eat innings and just be a reliable starter. While Ashcraft doesn't have the innings on him. He doesn't have the mileage on him. So it made sense to bring him up in this long relief role and stretch him out and get him to a point where maybe next year you can start him more consistently. Because I think he definitely has the stuff to start, but he definitely has the stuff right now to contribute to the team and make a difference in a bullpen role. There's some decisions to come this offseason with these young arms, man. I mean, you got Hunter Barco still in AAA. You got Thomas Harrington, too, who I know hasn't had the best season. But do you see some of these guys getting moved potentially in the offseason to make room for five guys in Pittsburgh? You can never have too much pitchers, but you're coming to a decision point with these guys where they're all about Major League ready or Major League ready.
Before we get back to that, I just want to say, like, I see where you're coming from with saying that so-and-so, the starting pitcher, needs to continue to be a starting pitcher. But at the same time, innings are innings. And
yeah,
especially if you're going to treat like Bubba came out of the bullpen, but he treated it as if it was a start day. He went through a lot of the same routine. And yes, it wasn't coming out in the first inning. You don't stand for the national. Like it's a different routine, but at the same time, innings are innings. I think Bubba Chandler will probably start at some point this year, but I don't necessarily have an issue with him having a couple of relief outings, just to answer what you were saying.
Yeah, especially if you're going to stretch him out. He had a 4-inning save in his first start, hit. So
if he's once every 5 days pitching 1 inning, then maybe I'll have an issue with that. But if he's going to get starter-like length like he did in the first one, or at least 3 or so innings a time, like I've got no issue for that. Anyways, with what you're saying with the offseason, I do expect them to make some moves and trade from something that is a strength for them. They've got a lot of young, controllable starting pitching. And even like a guy like Mitch Keller, he's relatively young. He's under team control. He's at a different price point, but he's still a guy a lot of people would like to have in their organization. I don't expect them to trade too aggressively from it, just because, like you mentioned, you can never have enough starting pitching. But I do assume that whatever the offseason situation is, that whoever's in charge, whether it's Ben Cherington or someone else, will see that that's a strength and see that that's something other teams want and potentially get creative with how they use all that starting pitching. But I also don't think that the Pirates will go into the season with 5 starting pitchers. I think they'll recognize that with the youth and with a lot of guys who have various injury concerns, that they'll want to keep it like a 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 guys who they'd feel comfortable starting at some point during the season.
Let's talk about Jared Triolo real quick. I mean, I think a lot of fans are going to say he did this last year in the second half. Stump posted a side-by-side today of a change in his hand position, right? It seems like there's actual proof that there's a change in his swing. We need more sample size to see whether it's legit or not. Like, it looks good right now, and it's looked good since the All-Star break. But is this someone that you think that they're looking at as a everyday player come 2026?
I don't know. I think that they want to know whether he can play shortstop and be an everyday shortstop. That's something that Ben Cherington mentioned today, like that they wanted to see how he would handle pretty much playing every day at shortstop, which he has. I believe 15 out of his 20 appearances since August 1st have been at shortstop, and it's gone well. He was hitting 303 entering today's game. I believe that went up with how well he performed. I forgot to update the stats after, but he's performed well. Ben also said that just because he's performed well, that doesn't mean that he's the shortstop going into 2026. And he said that they're planning on upgrading the infield in the offseason and going out and getting someone, whether that's a shortstop, third base, even first or second base. That remains to be seen. But they wanted to see what they have in Jared Triolo, and I think they feel a little bit better in him than they did a month ago. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that he's the everyday starter in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, he gives you the ability to play him everywhere. Like, he's like a Ben Zobrist type of player, and if he can hit 250 or more, I feel like he's a great guy to come off the bench. Like, he's a guy that they can hold on to and roster for the coming seasons. But if he can be an everyday player and play that level of defense, that's a different story. But I don't want to jump to conclusions because I know
I completely agree on that. I remember a couple of weeks ago on the radio show, Ben said something along the lines of, we believe that having Jared Triolo is a big part of us being where we want to be, or something along those lines, like that he's a guy with value. And a lot of people got mad about that because Jared Triolo was hitting 170 or whatever. But having a plus defender who can play, I think, 4 different infield positions, all of them pretty well, some at a Gold Glove level, that's something that's valuable regardless of whether he's hitting. And if he is hitting, then that's something that's worth having around. Like, there was a reason Jared Triolo didn't end up in the minor leagues until July, and that's because he does a lot of things well besides hitting. So if he can hit, the Pirates have something that's something of value. Not saying he should be the 2026 starting shortstop, but he can be a valuable piece of a good Pirates team.
I mean, this is a guy who plays plus defense and has almost double-digit stolen bases at this rate. And he's a bigger guy too. Like, you got to think, we've both seen him up close. Like, he's like 6'5", 6'4". He's a bigger dude. You got to think there's more power in that swing. And you don't want to mess with the swing too much Because if he's just a contact hitter, you want to roll with that, and maybe he's just a Ben Zobrist, maybe he's just a DJ LeMahieu type of player where he's going to go out there, slap base hits, and maybe hit your occasional run into a home run. But I do think he's a valuable piece of this team going forward. And that being said, too, we got O'Neill Cruz in Double-A. Another bigger player who's playing in center field, and we saw the box score the other day in Altoona where I think Connor Griffin drove him in. Gives you a little bit of a glimpse of the future. How far along is O'Neill Cruz? Are we expecting him back in Pittsburgh anytime soon?
Yeah, he'll be back in Pittsburgh soon. Ben mentioned today that the hope was that he would play today, probably as we're speaking, in Altoona. I don't know how he's doing there, what time the game is, but he played there, and if all went well, he'd fly to St. Louis tomorrow to be checked out and make sure that all is good. So I don't know if that necessarily means that he'll be activated tomorrow or whether he'll be activated Tuesday, but it sounds like he'll be activated pretty quickly, assuming all continues to go well and he continues responding well.
There were also updates on Justin Lawrence, Tim Meza, and Jared Jones recently. Where do those guys stand? I know Justin Lawrence and Tim Meza had recent appearances in Bradenton, but I also saw Jared Jones. Where do all three of those pitchers stand right now?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Meza and Lawrence are both going out on a rehab assignment. They're currently in Bradenton. They had pitched Tuesday. I haven't looked in the past couple of days to see how they did. I assume that they've had another outing or two. And the update we received is that either at some point this weekend or early next week, I don't believe it's happened, so early next week, Meza and Lawrence would go up to a higher level to continue their rehab. Dr. Todd Tomczyk didn't say whether it would be Altoona or Indy or Greensboro or exactly what they'd like. My guess is it'll be one of the Altoona or Indianapolis, just because they're easier to get to than Greensboro and can do more for a pitcher on a rehab assignment than playing at that small stadium in Greensboro. But it does seem like they're getting closer to advancing up the minor league pyramid. With Jared Jones, he was due for, I believe it was like a 4-month update with Dr. Neil Elatrash to just to make sure all was going well, that the rehab is going as expected, and if all went well, he would be cleared to begin throwing at that meeting. I believe that's going to happen in early September, so it hasn't happened quite yet, but that's the next box for him to check.
Colin, you recently posted, you were in Indianapolis, and you talked about some reactions from some players like Rafael Flores about the differences between the Yankees organization and the Pirates organization. And you posted a quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it. It basically said that the Pirates care more about affiliate records than personal individual development than maybe the Yankees do. They care more about the individual players' development. Do I have that right? And can you elaborate more on that?
Not entirely. So The Pirates care more about their minor league teams winning than the Yankees care about their minor league teams winning. It's a difference there. It's not that the Pirates care more about minor league championships than they do about actually developing their players, which I think the takeaway has been with
social media
a little bit. So the Pirates, absolutely, the minor league system, number one goal is not to raise a banner in Altoona, though they'd like to do that. It's to actually develop these players, though, of course, Altoona is in a playoff push, and they're hoping that Altoona does, in fact, make it to the playoffs. Rafael Flores and Cam Devaney were actually the two that I spoke to about this, and they both mentioned that the vibe in Indianapolis is a little bit different than at their previous stops. Flores with the Yankees, Devaney with the Royals. And both of them said that there seems to be a real emphasis on winning in Indianapolis, which is something that doesn't exist everywhere in the minor leagues. At some places, the goal is pure player development. That is the only goal. They don't care whether they lose 10-0, win 10-0, whatever. In Indianapolis and in the Pirates organization, they do, in fact, want to win, just because they don't want there to be a big difference between AA, AAA, and the major league level in terms of the mindset. they want players to be preparing to win and playing to win every single day, so that when they get to the major league level and the goal is to win, that's not a surprise or a shift or anything different there. So I'd say that was something that I found interesting, but not quite as interesting as some people have believed it to be on social media.
I think it was misinterpreted. I know Max Clark, who's a top prospect for the Tigers, was interviewed on our network with Just Baseball Media, and he kind of elaborated the same thing within the Tigers organization. He said the Tigers want to build this culture where they know winning at every level, but also that they're focusing on development. And I think that's important, especially with a small market, man, because, you're already starting from the bottom and you're it's David versus Goliath sometimes when you're going up against the Dodgers. So building a winning culture, I think, is important. Building camaraderie at a lower level and having these guys play together for a couple of years, I think that's important. And before getting to the big league level, but I figured there was some misconception there. I wanted you to clarify that, because I saw some people maybe misconstruing the words or taking it the wrong way. It wouldn't surprise me if the Pirates wanted to win a Eastern League title, but then again, I know there's some promising prospects coming up, and they want to build a culture, and I think the intention is there, right?
Yeah, to want to win. There's a lot of different ways to go about minor league development, but wanting to win that's not a crime. That's something that it's you play baseball to win. Both of us have played baseball growing up, and you play to win. Like that's key there. And I think another thing that kind of got missed, and this came in a story before the Flores story, but I talked about Bubba Chandler and how some of the things that they did in AAA were they wanted him to focus more on throwing his breaking balls and less and working on the changeup, his off-speed pitches, even though he didn't necessarily need them at the AAA level. They understood pretty quickly that he could go pure fastballs and have success at AAA, but that wouldn't fly in the big leagues. So they said, all right, we're going to work on the off-speed stuff here. And that probably hurt Bubba's ERA and win and loss record and whatever in the short term at AAA. That probably cost Indianapolis a win or two, but it helped Bubba Chandler's long-term development, or at least it theoretically did. We won't know that for a couple of years. So it's not like the Pirates are just putting all their chips in and saying we're winning. We're making High Greensboro the greatest team minor league baseball has ever seen. Though they might be.
They might be.
They're wanting to win, but still the number one goal is developing players who can contribute in the big leagues at some point.
Colin, before we let you go, I know we've been going for like 20 minutes or so, but what is something that you're looking forward to with this team in the last month of the season?
I'll go with, all right, let me, the obvious answer, the first number one thing is I'm excited to see Bubba Chandler pitch more.
Sure.
I've seen it once. I know Noah and Alex are both really, really high on this guy. They've been telling me for months about how even Andrew Destin said that he thought Bubba Chandler was going to be really, really good. We finally got to see him. He performed really well against, again, a really bad team in the Rockies. But it was exciting to see him pitch and to see him throw and see what he could do on the big league stage. I'm excited to see him continue to get his feet wet in the major leagues. I'm excited to see him pitch a little bit in relief. I'm sure he'll get a start at some point. I'm looking forward to that. But I'd say the overall thing I'm most excited for is just seeing the young guys play. Seeing, yes, that's Bubba. I hope Hunter Barco gets a major league debut at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a Mike Burrows type situation where they have him start somewhere and make one start just because he's already doubled his minor leagues innings count this year. I'm excited to see him. I think Nick York maybe will get an appearance at some point. Even guys that are currently on the team. Like I'm looking forward to seeing the young guys play and seeing who the Pirates can maybe project to have a better 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I think seeing the young guys play is my biggest thing now, being 20 games under 500 or whatever. I want to see these guys get opportunities, the guys that could be a part of the next great team. But Colin, I appreciate you coming on. This was fun. We'll have to do this again. If you don't already, make sure you go like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on all social media. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Go to buccobantr.com for all your merch needs. You can also find some of our merch at justbaseball.shop. Road trip this weekend in St. Louis and Boston, but when they return, Colin, I know you're aware of this. We have the Wolf game on September 2nd against the Dodgers. Be there or be square. And until next time, raise it.
Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates, or the steak by the plates. And